Do I have an ego problem? Hey guys, and welcome back to another random distractions video. If you saw my previous one, you saw that I purchased a measurement microphone, the Dayton Audio UMM6. And to kind of test it out and see what Rue was all about, I decided to just play around with it a little bit and check out my computer desk setup. For my computer setup, I have the Yamaha NX50s for the main speaker and then a Polk SW10 subwoofer. They're being fed by the Emotiva Big Ego Plus, which is of course connected to my computer. So the reason I wanted to try out the desk setup is because I do have the Big Ego Plus, and when I originally got it, I noticed that it had different filters, F1, F2, F3, and HP, but the documentation didn't really say what they did. So I thought, hey, maybe with this measurement microphone, I can finally see what the differences are. Before I continue though, I do want to reiterate, I'm not a professional, and this was kind of the first time that I actually even used a measurement microphone, and let alone REW as well. And I hadn't really looked into how to do it properly. I had seen a couple of videos in the past, so I was kind of doing it from memory. For sure, definitely take all of this with a grain of salt. So with that being said, here's kind of what I did. The first thing I did was I placed the measurement microphone in between my two main speakers on top of my desk, which is kind of like where my head would be. I then of course switched the Big Ego Plus to the first filter, which is F1. Then in the REW software, I went to the measurement tool and did a sweep between 10 and 20,000 kilohertz and took a measurement. Leaving everything in its place, I then switched the Big Ego Plus to F2 and redid the measurement. I then switched it to F3 and did the measurement. And finally, I switched it back to what I had originally had it on, which was HP, and did a measurement. With all of that done, I had all the results and I was pretty surprised. Even with no smoothing, you can tell that there is differences at both ends of the measurement, but in the middle, there's not quite that much. It's probably between 30 and 200 hertz where there isn't much of a difference. However, from memory, I remember seeing a lot of videos where they mentioned smoothing to kind of average out those big differences a little bit. And so I applied 1/12 smoothing to all of them. And when you do that, there's actually a lot less differences between them. And that could be why when I originally reviewed the device that I didn't really notice that much of a difference between the different filters. Although I did finally decide on HP for me. So when you do look at the HP filter, there is a little bit more difference there after 200 hertz. I don't know if those differences above 200 hertz is the reason why I did eventually decide to go with HP back then, but it was interesting to see that. I will say though, I probably did something wrong and it didn't actually do the measurements correctly. So I will go back and, like I said, try to look more into how to actually do the process, and we'll probably come back and see if the measurements are the same after, really figuring out what the process is supposed to be like. All right, well, that's all I had for this video. Would definitely appreciate a like, of course, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next one drops. And like I said, I'll keep trying to figure out how this REW measurement process is supposed to work, and hopefully be able to test out my home theater, and like I said, maybe retest the desktop setup again and see if I get something completely different. So we'll see what happens then. Until then, I hope you have a good one.